I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Alright, and this is Shabai from GMS Denver. And through the Spirit, I just figured I was going to go in on this lesson because I came across this picture here on social media. It popped up, but I screenshotted it, and it says here, Halle Berry's ex-husband says he ended the relationship because he couldn't picture her as the mother of their children. She don't cook, clean. Okay. So, back in the 90s and maybe early 2000s, I'm not sure when they was together, but they were kind of a high-profile couple because, he was a professional baseball player, pretty good player, if I remember right. And then Halle Berry, she was at the time an up-and-coming actress. So, they had their thing going on for a little while. I don't think it was too long with it, but he ended it with her. And I remember seeing stories or hearing tabloids or whatever it was back then, but long story short, this kind of wrecked her, When he divorced her, like, she had a really hard time, and I think she spoke about it, later on in different interviews and shit. But, I just wanted to point it out because, a lot of these women, the majority of these women, especially these younger women in society, they're in this spirit of they're not conventional, traditional women. They don't want to cook. They don't want to clean. Babylon has taught them, they're single, independent women, and they go out there and start a career, things like that. But, a real man, he wants a woman, a real woman. We want a woman that can cook and that can clean, stay at home, right? That's a traditional type of thing. And there might be some men, some simps out there that they want a woman to work and support them and shit like that. But, the true order of the household is really with the woman staying at home and taking care of the family. But, it comes out 30 years later where, it took that long for this to come out, but it came out, saying how she don't cook or clean, And so, it caused me to think about the scriptures and the women here in Babylon, America, they're basically the opposite of virtuous women, and they're not traditional women anymore, Matter of fact, you got a lot of these women that in the hip-hop industry, and they literally be bragging in their music how they don't cook or they don't clean, and I know I think it's Cardi B or maybe Nicki Minaj, I can't remember which one. They had a song where they were bragging about in the chorus how they don't want to be cooking and cleaning, And that's, when I saw this picture, I kind of, I was triggered to do this lesson, all right? So anyway, let's go to the scriptures. So without further ado, I'll grab Proverbs. And we'll go to Proverbs 31 and 10. Then I'm going to grab some other precepts. This lesson I'm going to get on the women, man. Because these women in Babylon, man, they're getting more... really, they're just... These women, it's hard to even... if you're a real man, especially in this ministry, and you're single, this truth, we're growing in the spirit. It's a vexation a lot of times just being around these women. More or less living with them. You know what I'm saying? So let's read Proverbs 31 and 10. It says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? for her price is far above rubies. And David Justin couldn't find that. He didn't find that in Halle Berry. You know? It says, the heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. So, you know, in David Justice and Halle Berry's case, he couldn't even trust her to clean the damn kitchen. You see? More or less trust her with anything else. You know, and that's a real man saying, hey, look, I cannot picture having kids or planting my seed with this woman, you know? And, you know, Jake, sometimes we be thinking with the wrong head. A lot of us, we done got women pregnant or have kids by women who, you know, we're not with them anymore because it didn't work out. They weren't in order. They didn't want to listen. They wanted to go about their own way. You know, their mothers didn't teach them, you know, how to be a woman. Teach them how to cook, how to clean. You know, matter of fact, the last relationship I had, I know I did more the majority of the cooking. All right, just because, hey, first for one, I was a better cook than her. You know, and that's a generational thing. Okay. Because if you go back maybe to my parents' generation, you know, my mom was born in like the early 60s. I was born in the early or mid 70s. So she's not that much older than me. But the point being is that generation, her generation, that they were kind of like the last generation of women that was actually, you know, trying to be in the kitchen, you know. Because I couldn't say that about my stepdad and my mom. My mom was definitely a better cook than my stepdad, you know. But when it come to, you fast forward to my generation, especially this generation now, it's all a mess. These young girls, they don't know how to do shit. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They don't. They're very loud. They're not humble, quiet women. You know, and the scripture speaks about a quiet woman is a blessing. All right. So let me grab this verse right here. 11. Keep reading. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. And evil means bad times. And right now, just sitting here, thinking about these women, these modern day women, and just think about, you know, somebody, or maybe you going through it, where right now a woman is giving you a bad time. Whether she's taking you to court for child support, whether she's trying to control the kids, you know, trying to control you with the kids if you have kids with her, you know. So a virtuous woman, she's not going to do all that. Okay? Let me grab that word virtuous real quick. Virtuous definition. It says having or showing high moral standards. Okay? So if a woman can't clean or she can't cook, you know, or she tries to be the man, she's out of order, she wants to control you. All these things are what we call red flags, man. And if you're a simp, you're going to deal with all that. You're going to let a woman, you know, treat you like a doormat. You know, walk all over you. You know, monitor you. Tell you what time you need to be home. Tell you what time you can leave. And all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? And we might have all been there at one point in our life, right? But the thing about this knowledge and this truth is we grow in the ministry. Okay? We learn how to be men. That's one of the things that this truth, it shows you how to be man. It shows you how to be a real man. Okay? It says, verse 13, she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. And now what we just read about Halle Berry, she wasn't working willingly with her hands. She didn't even want to pick up a broom or do the dishes, right? Or you some of you brothers, you might know a woman that you had been with in the past and you lived with her. And man, you would be working or whatever. Maybe she had a part-time job or maybe she didn't work at all. You come home and the fucking sink is full with dishes. You know what I'm saying? And that's some nasty shit. You know? Because there, and this doesn't just towards the women, because there's some lazy ass men out there too, right? That don't clean their shit, don't clean their dishes, let the shit pile up like a fucking mountain, you know. But the point being is, like I say, we're going to get on the women right now. So let's read 14. She is like the merchant ship; she bringeth her food from afar. I mean, she's taking care of the household, right? She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and portion to her maidens. All right, so giving meat, she cooks for the family, and really this is twofold because it's also talking about wisdom. All right, because in this case, the meat would be this knowledge and this truth, and the household is the household of the Israelites, of the elect, and of the prophets more specifically. All right, because the wisdom it gives us is the meat that gives us this knowledge and this understanding. But it says, and a portion to her maidens. And remember, the men who are in this truth and this that we're teaching this knowledge, we're likened unto maidens or virgins. You just got to read Revelation 14. It talks about that, But this is not about that lesson. This is about these women. So let's keep reading. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. Right, so she's diligent. Diligent at home. Diligent trying to take care of the family. She's making the clothing. She's cooking the food. She's cleaning the house. She's keeping she's keeping the house and the home. She's like what's that term? She make a house a happy home, right? And now, while Halle Berry, she's a very beautiful woman. She's a pretty lady. And no joke, my ex actually, they look like very similar, almost identical. That's just facts, all right. But my ex, she's not a so-called black woman. She's a so-called Latina, but she has very, very similar face and figure to what's her Halle Berry. Same thing with my ex. She was another Halle Berry. I remember she coming home from work and laundry all over the fucking floor and shit. She do the laundry, but she don't fold the shit. You know what I mean? Shit like that. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth out by night. And really, again, this is talking about wisdom. Let's see if we can jump down here. Well, let's go to 21. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Right? Because the woman, the diligent woman, the virtuous woman, she makes sure the clothes are. And back in those days, they would be sewing the clothes up, knitting them, whatever you call it. They had seamstresses, what they called them, and a lot of these women knew how to sew, and they would literally know how to make clothing. And nowadays, hell no, these women cannot do that. And that's why the Most High Yahweh, what does he refer to? And not just the women, but he refers to the Israelites as a degenerate plant, right? Jeremiah 2:21. Yet I planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? Okay? And a degenerate plant, that goes into literally that word degenerate. It means you're not what you once were. You're not what you used to be, right? And that's the state of our people. And like I said, getting on the women right now. These women, they're not what they used to be. You used to, back in the day, I mean, you look at it, they even have those sayings and those phrases, like these relationships, they don't make them like they used to, right? Back in the day, you could even look at your grandparents maybe, and they had like an order to their relationship, and that's why they had those long-ass marriages, You would have motherfuckers married like 40, 50, 60 years. But nowadays, man, you'd be lucky to get 2 years, even a year out of a woman. Look at that situation with Travis Hunter. And I don't know how true that is, but it's been popping up on my internet how Travis Hunter, if you don't know who he is, then you've been hiding under a rock. But anyway, his woman, she basically just a gold digger, and he was simping for a while, I guess, and now he's in the situation where he married her, and I guess she cheated with a teammate and all kind of crazy shit. But it's because why? Because these women, and the state of these women, they're degenerates. They're not what they used to be. Okay. So let's go back to that Proverbs. Was it 31? Let's see. I'm just trying to kind of bring up points. Here's 126. Proverbs 31:26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Right? And again, this is talking about wisdom, but it's also likened unto a virtuous woman. Okay? So a woman with morals, They have a thing called the shame-faced woman. She doesn't have a wandering eye. She's not busy making eye contact with other men when she's walking in public with her men, holding hands. That's one of the things that vexes or pisses me and the brothers off when we're at camp, and you got a broad who's holding her man's hand or her husband's hand. Meanwhile, she's making eye contact with, half the brothers in the camp, We just turn away. We look at them as foolish women. And really, we try to avoid that type of situation at all costs, not even making eye contact or not even looking at them. But, by nature, sometimes you look up or whatever. The woman, you can tell these women who are thirsty. And a lot of times, the most thirsty women are the ones who have men. Which, that's a fucking abomination, really, Let's see. Verse 30, it says, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth Yahweh, she shall be praised. And really, we're in a time right now where the majority of these women, they don't have fear for Yahweh, B'Shem Yoshai. All right, they don't like the doctrine because we bring out the true doctrine. And we don't care if it's going to hurt your feelings or cut you in the spirit. So, lots of brothers, I'm sure, have been through what I went through when I was with a woman. The last time I was with a woman, being in this knowledge and this truth. And what was it? What it was this truth pretty much pushed her away from me. Because she couldn't handle certain things. And not just the multiple woman factor, but just, they get very insecure when you have a woman and you're in this knowledge. If she's not a virtuous woman, if she's not fearing Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai, which a woman that fears Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai and has that type of understanding, man, if you can find her, man, let me know. Because it's not out there, I don't believe it's out there right now. Because women who fear Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai, if they understand and really believe in this ministry and this truth, they're not going to be complaining about all the shit that they complain about these right now in this society. Or whether your man is out or your man has, he might have another side piece. Hey, that's all good if if the brother is honest with his woman, and she knows about it. Really, there's nothing she could say or do if you have a side piece. Multiple wives is in the Bible, and we're going to come into a time very soon where these women are going to be so humbled that they're going to have no choice but to get in order. They're going to have to get out the household or get in order, and they're going to, out of pure desperation and lack of bread, lack of protection, if they try to leave their man, especially a man of the Lord, especially a man of Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai, and they're trying to be out of order, because you might have a couple women along with her. You see, women don't want to listen to that. They don't want to hear that. Matter of fact, if there's women listening to this video, this is their exit to off this video. They probably turn this thing off at that point because they don't want to hear it. You know how many times you see women on fucking social media crying, "Oh, he cheated on me, he did it," and really, when you get down to the truth and down to the nitty gritty with his knowledge, hey, it really men that you can't cheat on your woman. It's impossible. The only thing you can do is commit adultery, and that would be if you were a man and you went pursued another man's wife. That's adultery. If you go grab you up a little honey that's not taken, she's not married, and guess what? You, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, it's all good. Everything's good in the eyes of Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. Okay? But these women, they're not going to accept that. That's why it says, a woman that fear the Lord, she shall be praised. That's why I say, if you find one of those, let me know. Because you're not going to find it. You're just not. It says, give her of the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. Okay, and that's really talking about wisdom. So, and you'll have bitches, they'll get on their social media and post these verses up and act like it's actually talking about them and shit, and it's not. Most of the time you see women, they think, because wisdom is personified as a woman, so you got a lot of these women, they try to be godly, or they think Yahweh is dealing with them, and they'll put verses up when it's talking about the, wisdom, and also even the nation of Israel is likened unto a comely and delicate woman. But these women, they'll go put up a verse and think it's talking about them. Right? Let me see. Is it Zechariah? Let me see. I'm trying to remember. Give me a second. Let me grab this precept. Is it Zechariah or Zephaniah? Maybe it's Zephaniah. Or maybe even, let me think. Hold on. Oh, Jeremiah 6:2. It says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. All right, so the daughter of Zion is actually talking about Israel. So a lot of the times in these scriptures, the Lord is speaking about Israel, the nation, as a nation, because it's the nation of Israel is likened unto a comely and delicate woman. But these women, they'll take a verse and they'll put it on their social media and act like they're virtuous and godly women, when it's not even talking about an actual woman. It's talking about the nation as a whole. We're reading it right here. Zion is another word for Israel, and it says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Okay, and let me go to Sirach, or aka Ecclesiasticus. I think it's 26, maybe towards the end. So let's see. Let's read this one. Ecclesiastes 26:23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahweh. Okay? And really, we won't get that till Isaiah 4:1 comes to pass, because right now, these women, a lot of these women, this ministry, this truth that we do, that we're a part of, it's going to push a lot of these women away, okay? Because they're not going to agree. They're not going to get in order. They're not going to line up with what the scriptures say, okay? They're going to be rebellious, contentious, clamorous women, okay? So verse 24, a dishonest woman contemns shame, but an honest woman will reverence her husband. And reverence means respect. So you got a lot of these women, they don't respect their husbands. That's why they're over there posting on social media their titties, and they walk around the city holding hands with their husband in booty shorts and stomach showing and titties showing, and dressed like whores, dressed like harlots. And really, if you're a man and allowing your woman to do that, then you're a fucking simp. Alright, that's one of the things in this knowledge and this truth. We don't play that shit no more. When we were in darkness, we might have, our woman might have got away with that, but now that we're in this ministry, hell no, you ain't going to be caught with a woman walking around wearing clothing as the same apparel as a harlot. All right? A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, But she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. All right, how many of you brothers been with a woman who she dishonored you in her pride? She thought she was the shit. She was getting all kind of likes on the fucking social media. She got all kind of DMs on the down low. She may have told you that she didn't have any social media, and you come to find out the bitch is basically advertising herself, you know. And on top of that, she can't cook, she can't clean. She's like Halle Berry, you know. She's like Cardi B, you know. They don't want to cook or clean. Fellas, if you have a woman that doesn't cook or clean, those are like, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a working man that takes care of your wife, and she's a so-called stay-at-home mom, and she doesn't cook or clean. Hey, man, you better, you might want to get out of that situation. Because what the hell is she doing all day? Is she on the social media network? You know? What is she doing? Opening her quiver to all the arrows that are out there? You know what I'm saying? While you're at work. Because, a bitch got to clean the house while you're at work. You know? And the thing about it is, this truth it's very masculine, man. You got a lot of sensitive, you probably even have men that are offended at these words. But the thing about it is, hey, the Most High Yahweh, He created everybody with for a purpose. Everybody has a purpose, okay? And the purpose of these women is to serve you as a man, okay? And if they're not serving you, and that's a broad definition, but you know how a woman can serve you many ways. And she's not serving you, if she's not in order, then you probably be better off to leave that woman. You know? Give her a letter of divorce, like the scripture speaks about. If she doesn't listen to you, she doesn't want to go your way, then you're better off writing a letter of divorce to her, okay? That's scriptures that say that. A loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemies. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry. A man that of war that suffereth poverty, and Esau Edom, he lets all his veterans, you see a lot of them on the fucking streets begging for money. They have the sign that says, veteran, please help, no money, no food, just a dog, that's all they got, you know. So Esau Edom, he's wicked because his men of war, his men, all his veterans, you got a lot of those homeless dudes begging for money. They're veterans, you know. And those motherfuckers will write that on there. They'll use a fucking a Sharpie, and they'll write that down on their sign while they're begging for money. But anyway, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returneth from righteousness to sin, the Lord prepareth such an one for the sword. And actually, let's see. Let me go back to. Let me see. Is it 36 maybe? There's some shit in there too. No, Salakia, not shit. Slip of the tongue. There's some good stuff in there regarding these women. And that was a slip of the tongue. Salakia, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. Let me see. Bear with me. Let me go back. I was already in the right chapter. I should have read up. And I'm almost done with this lesson. But, we get the point. You get the point on what we're doing here. So it's Ecclesiasticus 26. And start at verse 1. It says, blessed is the man that hath a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double. The phone chimed on that. Alright, a virtuous woman rejoiceth her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace. Okay? And that includes cooking and cleaning. And I salute David Justice for getting away from a woman like that. All she wanted to do is be an actress. She wants to just be a celebrity. She didn't want to cook and clean. He had some type of integrity where he was like, nah, man, this ain't going to, he let the bitch go. She didn't want to, cook or clean. Hey, that's like the basics. That's what you women should be doing, cooking and cleaning. Get your ass in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. You see? And hey, that you like I said, you women, you might be listening to this video and getting all pissed off and saying, "Oh, this is not a man of the Lord." Well, guess what? We're reading about it in the scriptures, and you don't have a problem with me. You have a problem with the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. You don't like the words because you're not godly. You're not a godly woman. So if you think you're a godly woman, why don't you stop posting verses that you don't understand on your social media? And, if you want to be godly, get in order. Listen to the scriptures, Strive to be a virtuous woman. Okay? Verse 3, a good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear Yahweh. And see, that's the other thing. We're not going to get any good women unless you fear the Most High. Because you got these dudes, you got a lot of these men out here. They think they have good women, and only to realize that, hey, the woman was hoeing around the whole time, or the woman was being scandalous. Because you got to understand, women have a lot of power right now in Babylon. The Most High set it up where Esau gave him a ton of power. A lot of these women, they get away with, they got a lot of slack, Verse 4, whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward Yahweh, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance. Let me see. Let me kind of go down. Verse 7, an evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that hath hold of her is as though he held a scorpion. Okay, you see that? So if you have a wife, and evil means bad times. And men, I see men every day that I'm talking to these men out here, and they're a divorce. Or I remember I talked to this dude, and this is like a never-ending story. Okay, because you have these women, these men, they're telling me, yeah, man, she left me. We were together for 30 years, and I don't even know why. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, after 30 years, she dipped. And it's because she was an evil wife, and she was probably giving him hell like 29 out of the 30 years, An evil wife is a yoke, and it compares an evil wife as a scorpion. A bad wife, a woman that gives you bad time, just picture that. Go Google the picture of a scorpion, and then picture holding that thing in your hand. And the Most High is comparing that to a fucking evil wife. Hey, man, I'd rather hold the scorpion. Verse 8, a drunken woman and a gatter abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. Oh, man, you ever been around a drunk bitch, and she's jealous, or she gets mad at you? You might be at a fucking public function, or some type of in public, or been in a social event, and some bitch drunk, and she's giving her man the business, talking shit to him, making, not respecting him at all. I've seen that happen a lot, man. And a lot of these women, hey, brothers, we're all going through it too, by the way. We all have been there with these women who we just, at the end of the day, you come to the conclusion when you're in this knowledge and this truth, like, you just basically, I'm good. You might go get you some box here and there, but you're really, if you're in this knowledge and this truth, you're really not focused on moving in with them or making building an empire with these women here. Because that's not the time we're in, man. And if you can't see that, then hey, you're probably not of the elect. Verse 9, the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. You got those women holding their man's hands, and meanwhile they're looking at every man in their eyes. Shaming their man. And more than likely the man's a simp, and that's why they don't fear their husband or their man. Because why? They'd rather, they take the risk. They'll risk it all. You know what I'm saying? Just to be a whore. And that's in these women. Women are what the elder always calls them, opportunistic. Okay? And they're the weaker vessel. You got to remember that. So if the situation presents itself, a lot of these women will go astray, man. And they'll make the wrong decision, especially if the household's not in order. And I would say 99.999% of these households in Babylon, America, they're not in order. It says, if thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Yeah, your daughters, you got to keep an eye on your daughters. Because even our daughters have that wickedness in them. You know? You come in this ministry, you see the daughter, the wickedness in the daughters. You know, like my brother, he has one of each, little kids, boy and a girl. And I see the wickedness in the little girl, man, more than the little boy. The little boy, he's got you could tell he's by nature is the point I'm making. By nature, the daughters are going to be more wicked, man. All right, watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. Yeah, so don't be surprised if you don't correct your daughter. You don't nip it in the bud. You don't teach her the scripture, especially if you're in this ministry. And I've been challenged in this ministry with daughters because I've been plagued with all daughters. Okay, and basically, yeah, there's challenges that I go through in this ministry, which not all the brothers in our camp specifically have daughters. So that's one of my plagues that the Lord has given me is daughters. Okay. So you gotta, and you're in Babylon. You gotta remember, you're in Babylon trying to raise these daughters, raise them as virtuous women, and there's going to be challenges the Lord's going to present to you. And I'll leave it at that. Brothers who are raising, especially adult daughters, like I have adult daughters. I have daughters who are not adults. But the thing is hey, one thing I notice is it's definitely a challenge, especially being in this ministry, because there's things. The older ones, I wasn't in the truth when they were first born. They weren't brought up in this knowledge. While I have a younger one, who she was born in this truth, and even her, I could tell. I know that I'm not foolish. I know there will be challenges, and really, that's why at the end of the day, we really just we ready to get the hell out of here. We ready for the chariots to take us home, She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift from Yahweh, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. All right, and this is one of the verses I touched on earlier. It says a silent and loving woman is a gift from Yahweh, not a loud, clamorous bitch. Okay? A woman who had to open her mouth in every fucking conversation. Every time something's happening, she got to open her big ass mouth. If you have a woman like that and she doesn't fear you, she don't respect you, sometimes she's learned that she just got to shut the fuck up. Then guess what? You probably should leave her. Fuck these out of order women, man. We're coming to the end of the game, And brothers, if you're dealing with women who are fucking out of order, man, leave that bitch. She don't want to listen to you. She don't want to be instructed. She don't want to follow instructions. Then, man, leave that bitch. I'm being dead serious. We're at the time in the game where, we don't got time to be stressing a woman. We don't got time to be, having to spell it out for these women who don't want to get in order. These women who don't want to be virtuous women. These women who don't want to be just traditional and just listen to a man, especially a man of Yahweh Bashim Yoshai. They can't see the value on you. Then hey, kick rocks. Have that bitch figure it out on her own. Throw curses on the bitch. When she leaves. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued. So, and this is like a unicorn right now, and especially in Babylon. It's hard to find a shamefaced woman, meaning that this is a shamefaced woman is being like she moves with discretion. She doesn't want to be the life of the party. She doesn't want to have all the attention. That's the other thing about these women. They all want attention, man. They're attention whores, like that phrase, the attention whore. You see? It says, as the sun when it ariseth in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. And listen, we're going to get these type of women in the kingdom. All our women are going to be in order and beautiful and fine, and they're going to be, respectful. They're going to serve you. They're going to be happy to serve you. They're going to know that they're adorned in the eyes of Yahweh Bashem Yoshai when they serve you right. They're going to know all that. These women in the kingdom, they're going to thrive to be perfect servants. They're going to know their nature again, They're going to be delicate women. They're not going to be strong, independent, rough women, with mouths like, that's one of the things I hate is when you get around a fine ass, you see a fine ass broad, and she starts talking and she sounds like a dude. She cusses like a man, talks like a man. These women brag about their body counts. This is how bad and degenerate our women have become. See? Let's grab a second. I'm sorry, Sirach 26 and 22. An harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. All right, so these whores, these women who want to be whores towards their husband, want to go fuck around, want to go astray, want to go on the cock carousel, the Most High looks at them as spittle, meaning you spit on the ground. That's how the Most High looks at them women. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahweh. And we are those godly men. So when we fear Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, so guess what? When Isaiah 4:1 kicks in, we're going to have those women that are going to be, they're going to be more ready to listen, more ready to follow your instruction, follow your lead. Okay? A dishonest woman contemneth shame, but an honest woman will reverence her husband. We read that. And these are the ones I read. Oh, let me read this one. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh. Okay? And you're not going to find that here in Babylon. And I'm gonna go to Isaiah 4:1 because this is this is our reward for just enduring. You keep enduring. The men of the Lord who are sincere and faithful and endure all the stuff we have to go through right now, especially with the way these women are set up right now, you're going to get rewarded with a bunch of women, mind you, who are in order, who want to serve you. And it's going to be that's when you're going to actually have a godly woman. When these women are happy to serve you, happy to be called your wife. Let's read it. Verse 4, Isaiah 4:1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear out our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Okay? And in that day, what day is that? It's Jacob's trouble. As we know that's coming. It's right around the corner. You got look at all the chaos happening right now in Babylon. It's going to increase to the point where you watch that movie. I just watched it last night, Book of Eli. The woman in that movie, remember she was handcuffed to the grocery cart and she was begging Denzel to take her with him. And she was desperate, right? She was like, please, just take me. He was like, nah, you'll just hold me back. And see, that's the attitude a lot of us are going to have towards these women, especially these women who have done men wrong, and these women have lowered their value, lowered their worth because they go around fucking everybody. Then they get, when a woman fucks everybody like that, they lose their mind. They don't know how to act. They become literally crazy bitches, you see. But see, in this day, 7 women, which 7 is a number that represents completeness. So it could be whatever completes you, whatever the number is that complete you. Some men are going to be complete at 2 women. Some men are going to be complete at 30 women in that day. And that's just facts. Maybe even more than that. In the kingdom, we're going to have a lot, like, an unlimited number of women. That's just facts. That's a different lesson for a different day. But, I just wanted to go in on that picture of David Justice and Halle Berry, it kind of triggered this lesson. So, with that, I hope the lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akia who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the Shalom to the elect.